What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate, reverse, rant, no hate. Now, I'm going to play this seconds out video, Radio Raheem talking to Malik Scott. And, you always have that person that says, oh, but this wasn't said, that wasn't said. Okay. And pretty much, I don't have to listen to this whole video, but we're gonna play with it for a little while. We're gonna go through it. And what was said was that, hear me good, yo. Malik Scott never said Deontay Wilder just had a bad night. Okay? He never said that he understands what happened to Deontay Wilder. All right? He never said Deontay had a bad night. It's a lot I can get out of that to bring to this video, and I'm going to make my points. Again, don't play with me, y'all. I don't say things just to say it. If I say it, it's because it's where I heard it from, or I saw it, I heard it myself, or I heard it from someone from from the horse's mouth. What I'm saying, I don't from the horse's mouth. I don't just say what someone else said. If I do, I will tell you I'm not sure, but word is. I will never tell you like I know this for a fact if I don't know. But I know what I heard coming out of Malik Scott's mouth, and I'm gonna further my point after we get into this video. Let's go. Now, before I say that, this was right after the press conference when Deontay Wilder refused to talk. So now Malik Scott is talking to Radio Raheem. And from the questions that Radio Raheem is asking and the things he's saying, I guess Deontay is about to have a to this day part 2 moment with Radio Raheem at some point. Check this out.
Foremost, congratulations on this new role, head trainer, a world championship fight. You've never been head trainer, or as far as I know, officially in the corner of Deontay Wilder, but you've always been in Deontay Wilder's corner. I've never known the two of you not to be associated during fight week, for you not to be present at all times. And now, assuming this role, there had to be some, if not difficulty, awkwardness in ascending to head trainer around and through a camp of guys that you knew, that you supported Deontay Wilder while in camp with those guys. So talk to me about what the dynamic was like to bring you into this role and your relationship with Mark Breland and the other members of the team who were previously in his corner.
It was as far as it happened so naturally, and after the Fury second fight, me and Deontay talked. We knew exactly what we wanted to do, and it just all materialized since everything that's happening now. And like you said, our brotherhood has always been up here. But what I needed and what I have now is our fighter-trainer relationship passes our brotherhood by far. It's not even close. It's brotherhood here, boxer and trainer relationship here. And he's doing everything I ask and more. And that's all me, myself, Joey Scott, his strength trainer, JD's his manager, Shelly. This is all that we can ask from him. And he's doing everything I ask and more. And he's made his mind up that he's willing to do something he's never did to get he's willing to do something he never did to get something he's never had. And that's become 2-time heavyweight champion of the world.
Well, something else he never did was make you head trainer. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's something that'll help him along the way.
That's a start.
My question being, at the beginning of the aftermath of the second fight, Deontay blamed his camp quite a bit. Ultimately, it resulted in Mark Breland.
He blamed his camp, or he blamed.
By camp, I mean his corner.
Yeah, that's someone. He blamed someone. He didn't say nothing about JD's. He didn't say nothing about Cuz Hill. He didn't say nothing about nothing. He had an issue with somebody in his corner. So I think we should say that. I don't think we should say his whole camp. He had an issue with someone in his corner. He decided he didn't want that person to work with him no more. And then that's just that.
Did you?
He didn't say nothing about JD's. Did that not just come out of Malik Scott's mouth? The only thing he said was, he got a mouthful too. That's what he said. All right, stay with me. Y'all gonna see where I'm going with this.
Recognize a problem. We're talking about Mark Breland then, if it's the individual someone.
If that's what you're talking about, right? Because you're saying, what are you meaning by?
I mean, Mark Breland is the most talked about.
What
but
do you mean by camp?
Well, I'm actually asking because it seemed confused. Like he would say one thing one day, something else the next day, and then people put words in his mouth that maybe he didn't say. So I wish he was here to answer questions because I don't think anyone is entirely clear on what exactly he believes happened in his corner or with Mark Breland alone, and how that brought about the necessity for a new head trainer. And I'm wondering, you being an observer but not one of the members in the corner in the first two fights, did you observe something that you feel like Mark Breland did wrong or that warrants that kind of criticism that's put at his doorstep?
It's just like that's so much detail to get into that, and it's hard for me to get into that and for detail because it's so behind me. I'm so focused on Fury. I'm dreaming about Tyson Fury. I'm dreaming about Deontay knocking Tyson Fury. I'm dreaming about him getting the title back. I'm always fucking film study. I'm always going over strategies with Deontay. I'm obsessed with getting his title back. So like that stuff that happened in the past with the Breland and all of that just stuff he was saying, he said, putting words in his mouth. I'm like done with it. It's none of my business.
Now, did you hear what he just said? I'm done with that. It's so far behind me that it's hard to really detail. And he also said that, he's obsessed with beating Fury. He sounds more determined to beat Fury than Wilder does. Now, do you guys understand my point when I say Wilder's still talking about fight 1 and fight 2? Oh, he was cheated in fight 1. Fury should have been counted out, blah, blah, blah. Do you understand? This is the shit that Malik Scott is saying. This is what Deontay Wilder should be saying. But Deontay Wilder is still talking about the past, even right now. In fact, why is Malik Scott doing this interview with Radio Raheem instead of Mr. I forgive you, I love you. You my brother, I love you. He won't even talk to Radio Raheem, right? If Deontay Wilder's not going to say one thing, we don't expect Malik Scott to say it for him. And he shouldn't have to. But do you see the point what I'm saying? This is what Deontay Wilder's mindset should be. Instead of still talking about what happens in the past. Oh, but we're going to get to the point where he says he had a bad night. Because the person is trying to tell me that, no, everybody knows that Fury cheated and Malik Scott is his best friend, blah, 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 all this shit. And he knows. He never said that. No. Trust me, I already know what happened. I saw the interview. So that's why I spoke and said what I said. But we'll get to it.
Business is what the business that I'm handling, and that's training the 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, Deontay Wilder.
If it's not your business, and it's the last of the words we've heard from Wilder, being that he's not responding to media, not participating in the press conference, it just leaves the door open to, it's not on your mind, so you say, is it on his mind?
So, no, what's on his mind is violence and decapitating Tyson Fury in the trilogy. That's what's on his mind.
Now, he just said what's on Wilder's mind is violence and decapitating Fury. Is Malik Scott not aware of all these interviews and all this shit that Wilder's been talking? So basically, no, Wilder's not talking because he's focused in on Tyson Fury. Meanwhile, this man did 4 or more plus videos talking about Dillian White, Jamel Charlo, and everybody else. All the stuff that he wouldn't say to Fury's face, all the stuff he didn't say in the press conference, right? All the questions that he know he be asked is why he's not talking to Radio Raheem and other people, even if it's a solo interview, because they know that this stuff is going to be uploaded. And he has no answers. And the man said he has no proof, right? Malik Scott is trying to be very careful with his words. Okay? He's trying to answer things and not leave the door open for Radio Raheem to pull the noose further around his neck. But the noose is tightening. All right? Let's go. As we speak, that noose is tightening. Believe it. Deontay not talking for himself doesn't do him any justice. But let's keep going.
Okay. I mean, even that, when you say violence and decapitation, that's not what boxing's really about. We're not.
Deontay Wilder wants to do.
Deontay Wilder wants to win his title back, right?
I'm telling you what the man wants to do and what he's saying verbally to the press, to people. He's said this. He wants to decapitate Tyson Fury.
So you're training him to knock Tyson Fury's head off his body?
I'm training him to be 2-time heavyweight champion of the world.
Right. So how do you keep him focused on that and the task at hand as a boxer, not a murderer, to win the title back and not have all these things that were discussed after the...
Now, Malik Scott just said, I'm telling you what the man said to me. He wants to decapitate Tyson Fury, right? Now, if someone decided right now to make a problem out of that because you're talking about murdering a guy, you want to kill this guy. I hate him so much, I want to kill him. I just, it's not about just winning my titles back. Wilder said out of his own mouth, I want to do more. Okay? I want to do more than just beat Tyson Fury. Everybody know what I want. I just said it before. Everybody know what I want. But he is talking and made mentions about, how people, people twist Wilder's words and say things that he didn't mean, say things in a way that he didn't mean it to be said, even though it comes directly out of his mouth. Okay? It's as simple as that. You can't sit here and say, I want to spit in your face. Why would you say something like that? I didn't mean it like that. Did you go twisting my words? Because that's exactly how it goes. He says one thing, but no, he didn't say that. Just like Malik Scott never said Wilder had a bad night. Let's keep going. We're going to see.
Right.
But boxing is
way on his mind.
This noble art is very violent. Anything can come from this. Anything can come from this. You know that, Raheem. Anything can come from this.
I've never seen anybody's head knocked off their shoulders.
No, but if we're saying hypothetically speaking on what someone wish they can do because they're feeling a certain way, a kind of person, because they have their personal vendettas against a person for their own reasons, then yes, he's describing his feelings. But what I'm doing is training him to be...
Okay, so let me just say this too, see? This is all this talk about I'm a man of God and all this thanking your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and all this other stuff, but then yet you think that you're justified to want to kill somebody, talking about having a body on your record, and this stuff was said way before he even fought Tyson Fury. But all of these things, see, I'm pointing out why people, okay, the hypocritical side of this guy, the fraud in this guy. And when people point this out, it doesn't matter, about these people getting their little panty raids and sucking their teeth, poking their bottom lip out mad because we're ripping this guy open. I told you I was going to get him again because people are always opening their mouth saying the wrong shit. And basically, I don't say things just to say it. So instead of me, telling you what Malik Scott said, no, I'm letting you hear what Malik Scott said. Okay, I'm letting you hear what he said. And all this man of God stuff, and then going to the Bible, talk about how the God decapitated people who was doing wrong. So now you're playing the role of God? Is that what that is? But again, Malik Scott's trying to be careful what he say. Let's go on.
2-time heavyweight champion of the world by any means. That's what I'm saying.
Right, and which is your job and what you should be doing. And we're not disagreeing on that. What I'm asking is I'm concerned that from what I see and the discussion that's been had, that maybe Wilder isn't as focused on the task that you're talking about now, which is boxing, and is mired in, like you say, the vendetta and even the Breland issue and not being willing to talk to the press makes it seem like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I'd like for you to express it for him if you can, that he's still living in that past. He's not moving forward. We have a press conference today about the new fight. He got the fight that's on. We're all here to talk to him, and he's clearly not moving forward because he's not engaging in this fight yet. So how are you making sure that your fighter isn't living in the past?
No, how I'm making sure he's not living in the past is by preparation. My job is to train him. I can't control his inside feelings. Deontay Wilder's his own man. My job is to train Deontay to be the best that he can be, which he is now, and to go and get the title back for the second time of his career, to become 2-time heavyweight champion of the world.
Now, I agree. He's his own man. You can't control his inner feelings. But you're speaking on his behalf to tell us what he's saying, what he's thinking. And because someone doesn't agree with his mindset or is asking you to clarify it, why? So you can't walk away from this interview and people going, oh, see, there they go, misconstruing what Deontay Wilder said or what he meant. No, this is your words telling us what Deontay Wilder told you. So Radio Raheem is making sure, okay, but you're saying such and such a thing. You guys can't see it, but Malik Scott he's rubbing his face and like he's getting frustrated because he doesn't want to answer these questions. But you know what? I'm so proud of Radio Raheem for sticking to his guns and not sitting there trying to play nice with this guy and ask questions and say things to sit here and play nut hugger, ass kisser. Let me say things to put a smile on Malik Scott's face. No, I'm asking the real questions. And all that to this day screaming didn't intimidate me. I'm a reporter. I'm going to get to the bottom of things. And either you're going to answer it or you're going to dance on eggshells like you're doing, but I'm going to keep the pressure coming. And that's what Radio Raheem is doing. Now, you can't sit here and say, this man talk about decapitating the guy. He want to kill this guy. That's what you're basically saying, okay? Because if you decapitate somebody, that's what happens. I hate this guy so much. I want to do this. And okay, fine. So now when he comes talking all that, I'm a man of God shit and talk about all the good he does. For people to say, oh, well, the man was cheated. Fury did this and Fury did that, right? Hold up. Check this out. If you want to sit here and quote the Bible and talk about God, well, the Bible also talks about forgiveness, right? Turning the other cheek, loving your brother regardless. You know, there's a quote in the Bible, okay? I'm paraphrasing it, but it basically says something to the effect of, how can you love me, who you cannot see, if you cannot love your brother who you can see? So the biggest challenge that we have as human beings is to be able to control ourselves and our emotions, to not feed into certain things and to be a bigger person at times, right? You can quote all these biblical verses and swords from the Bible and talk all this, I'm righteous, I'm a righteous man, I'm a man of God, but your actions and your words show different. That you want people to see you a certain way, but you project yourself completely different, okay? And also, before I even go on, let me say this, and you guys are going to see this, okay? Not one time did you hear Malik Scott say anything. And this is how why I'm even doing what I'm doing. This is how the conversation came up between me and somebody else, okay? Not one time did you hear Malik Scott say Tyson Fury cheated. I know he cheated. He's talking about what Deontay said, but one thing he's not saying, he's not co-signing that shit about Fury cheating. He said Deontay had a bad night. He's going to say, you know what I didn't hear one reporter say? Nobody said Deontay had a bad night. And he's talking about because fighters have bad nights. Right. But guess what? Like Radio Raheem is going to tell him, Deontay Wilder himself didn't say that. So how can we say it? Right? Plain and simple. And Malik Scott himself has never once got in front of this camera and talked about Deontay Wilder being cheated. In fact, he said, we knew exactly what was wrong after we talked and what we wanted to work on. Well, if what you did was good enough to beat Tyson Fury, other than from him cheating, because first off, I don't give a fuck if you got a bomb in your glove. If you can't land that shot, guess what? You're getting smacked around with damn near everything Fury threw. And all the spike water bullshit and talking all of that. Now, another thing I got to call out. Malik Scott said he had a problem with a person in his camp. We clearly heard Deontay Wilder say, I'm cutting the grass to weed out all of the snakes. Not the snake in my grass, all the snakes. That was his choice of words. So all of this bullshit about saying people misconstruing what he say, you full of shit, man. Deontay Wilder says things, and then you guys sit there and act like we can't rewind the tape, because he's one fighter that a lot of shit that he said, all of a sudden the video ends up missing. Just like you all co-signed that he never said the costume wore his legs out, they was too heavy, but then we found that tape again. Okay, plain and simple. So you're not going to hear Malik Scott say anything about Tyson Fury cheating, and he had the opportunity to say that when he was face to face with Fury, and he was the one doing all of the talking. And even though Fury roasted this dude, did he even say, yo, you cheated? You didn't even beat Deontay fair and square. No, he is blaming it on the fact that Tyson Fury beat him. The most he said was, you beat Wilder on his worst night and on your best night. That's what he said. He never once alluded to Tyson Fury being a cheater. Okay? So let's go on.
He feel he want to do that, that's between him and God. My job is to prepare him for the task. And whichever way he gets it and bring it back, I'm fine with that.
And what adjustments do you feel like he needs to make technically as a fighter to be prepared for the task? Was the Deontay Wilder, who we've seen, let's not talk the second fight, obviously he was unsuccessful in that, but before then, highest knockout ratio ever in boxing history, got a draw in the first fight, but did knock Tyson Fury down, almost out. What did he do in the second fight or not since the first fight that he needs to do in this third fight to be successful in the way that you describe?
What did he do? What do he need to do to be successful? Like what he didn't do in the first or second fight?
Right.
I just think it comes from the mental adjustments that he's made. I just think it comes from him being extremely receptive. He may not be receptive with you guys, yes. He may not be receptive with Blow Joe over there, but he's receptive to the most important people in his life that's to get this task done. And that's myself, that's Joey Scott, that's JD's, that's his nutritionist and stuff. And that's all I care about.
He said mental adjustments. Again, he's asked him several times about the fight. And again, Malik Scott has every opportunity to call him a cheater if that's what he was going to say. And he didn't, not once. Pause. All right, let's continue.
If Deontay doesn't want to come in here and talk to you guys and answer questions because his word is going to get flipped around, because the head title is going to be something that he totally not meant, like everyone get to their level where they just sick of that kind of shit. You know what I mean? He's probably just sick of that kind of shit.
Yes.
And I like that. This fight is going to sell itself.
And you said his mental preparation. What is the mental preparation that you're talking about?
To wake up, eat, sleep, and shit boxing. No distractions. To wake up, roll over into your recovery tank. To wake up, roll over, and go right to your track. To wake up, and Malik Scott is outside in the gym waiting for you to get ready. To wake up, to making it a lifestyle. Not 75%, not 80%, 110% lifestyle. And that's what he's doing right now.
And when it comes to the physical part of boxing, and most fighters and trainers will tell you it's 80% mental. So if that's the preparation needed and it's happening, gives them an 80% better chance of winning. But the other 20%.
Hold up. He said, though, no distractions. This is the point of what I'm talking about as well. When I'm like, why is he doing all of these interviews and saying things about everybody and everything other than just Fury? Now to say, well, he's only talking to the one person in the interview and he's not being bombarded with questions and all that, so it's different. Yeah, it is different because he's trying to avoid answering things he doesn't have answers for. But what I'm saying is, if he was so focused, he wouldn't be doing interviews with anyone. So even though Malik Scott is talking to Radio Raheem, this is by design, because Deontay Wilder knows Radio Raheem is going to ask him questions that he don't want to answer, the same way that he was going to be asked questions at the press conference that he didn't want to answer. And that's why Malik Scott is talking to Radio Raheem. Now, mind you, he did an interview with Ellie Sattback right afterwards, and it was still daylight outside. It's dark where they are now, okay? It was still daylight outside when he talked to Ellie. And all those other interviews, like when he's calling Dillian White gay and all that other stuff, right? Now he's talking all this other stuff other than Fury, other than what's going on in the future, right? He's talking about the past. This is why Radio Raheem is saying, is he stuck in the past? I said the same thing, and so did many others, because we're not stupid. But you guys who take it so personal, which we don't care, but you take it so personal and act like we're making shit up, but you guys don't see the logic. If it was any other fighter, you'd see and you'd be agreeing with us. But because it's Wilder, oh, it's not true. Let's proceed.
It's physical. And everyone knows he has a huge right hand. He's been successful more so.
And everyone also knows he's extremely mentally tough as well. And everyone also knows that he was only boxing a year before he got a bronze medal in the Olympics. This don't just come from someone having one good right hand or not having mental strength. This just don't come from you fighting Bermain Stavern on the night and you almost go blind in one eye and they have to bring a doctor in and you still go win a world title. This just don't come from not being mentally tough. Going into Chris Arreola fight with ruptured bicep, and he's one of the most mental tough guys in the world. Now I know what you're saying. You're saying, yeah, but you could be mentally tough and you could still be doing it in the past. I'm telling you, the man is different. You guys is going to see July 24th.
Now he's saying he's different, but he's showing us the same old Deontay. Getting on an interview talking about everything and everybody other than the task at hand. Let's just be real, okay? Not only that, okay? Not only that, but he just said Deontay Wilder, this doesn't just come from having just a right hand. No, it's different in the Olympics because when you're in the Olympics, you're taught to punch the target. As a pro, you try to punch through the target. Okay, it's a point system. You can get, knock people out. He was stopped by the Russian guy. Okay, so you can knock people out. Look, Henry Tillman beat Mike Tyson twice in the Olympics. What's the guy? Jose Gonzalez, the big dude with the whatever you call it, haircut. He beat Bo and Lennox Lewis in the amateurs. What happened in the pros though? So fighting in the Olympics, fighting as the amateurs, it's not the same. You gain experience, you get it. He only had a year. Okay, well, guess what? He had more time than Dillian White as an amateur. And look at what Dillian White is. You understand what I'm saying? So he's not the only one. He's not the only one. Wilfredo Benitez is a world champion at 17 years old, so he's not the only one. And the thing is, it's not about anybody trying to take credit from what he's done then. But the same way you say that, well, when he got knocked out by Harold Sconia, and in the same fight, the referee gave him a second chance. See, these are things people don't bring up, but about other fighters, they will, to try to belittle them. Try to make them like, oh, you're not on my level, or you're beneath me. So this is one of the things that people, why I get into people's skin when they're trying to defend Wilder as if what we're saying, we're making it up when it comes out of his mouth. And as far as his actions is concerned, stop talking about, okay, Wilder had that title for 5 years. I don't care what the fuck you're talking about he did in the amateurs. We've seen him do nothing but use a right hand. That's why the fuck we're saying it. We're not saying it because we just imagine it. That's all he shows is that right hand. Now, he's going to say what I said he's going to say. And that's basically why I made this video. More than anything else. Because you always got the naysayers. And you know me. I will prove you wrong with proof. Not my opinion. Let's go.
I understand that. I hope that's true. The physical part, though. The physical part, though. The right hand, we all know, is incredibly dangerous. It's a knockout punch. Okay, so if you don't, or if Fury's able to take it away like he did in the second fight, what else is Deontay Wilder bringing to the ring, either that we haven't seen before or improving if the right hand isn't available?
Let me say something. You want to know what's the funny thing about Deontay losing that second fight? I didn't hear one guy or one writer, no one just say he just had a bad night at the office. Like athletes do, like fighters do, like Kobe has as a ball player do. He had a bad night in the office. That's all that was.
So Aries is making this shit up. Aries is like the rest of the alphabet boys, right? No, I'm nothing like any of these people. I'm nothing like nobody else. Okay, and that's bottom line. That's not putting myself on a pedestal or beneath anybody. I'm my own man. I don't follow anybody. He just clearly said what you said. He never said. He had a bad night at the office, and that's all that was. And when you say that's all that was, that excludes all of this so-called cheating, egg weight bullshit, unpadded glove bullshit, spike water bullshit. No, he had a bad night at the office, and that's all that was. And just like he said at the press conference, Wilder is extremely stubborn. So just like with him saying what he said just now, well, Wilder's too stubborn to just admit he just got his ass whooped. And so he's making this whole story up about everything. And this man just sat here and said what you claim he didn't say. So you've been debunked. But we're going to continue just to rub it in your face some more.
And under whatever circumstance, it was a bad night and he lost.
Yeah, but Malik, Deontay didn't say that either. He said everything but that. So I don't know that you can blame.
Exactly. He didn't say he had a bad night. He made excuses as to why he lost, okay, and why it was a bad night. Not because he just underperformed. He just got the shit beat out of him because he just couldn't beat Fury that night. No, it was because his water was spiked and he was hitting the head with an egg weight and they put the heebie-jeebie shit on, all this crazy shit he was talking about. He himself never said that. You should see the stupid look on Malik Scott's face when Radio Raheem said that. See, this is how you do an interview. Not sitting there kissing ass and then sitting there knowing deep down inside, nah, man, this shit he's saying just don't add up. But if I say this and that, he's going to get mad. He might not give me another interview, which is what these reporters are afraid of. Radio Raheem is a real one, though. Let's go.
Press for not making that point because he gave us all these other reasons as to why that fight went the way it did. Nobody said bad night at the office or hey, I'll be back.
But why? When it was a bad night for him, why didn't they say that?
Because he told us it wasn't a bad night for him. It was a bad night for Mark Breland. It was a bad night because Tyson.
That question just shows you how incredibly stupid Malik Scott is. But why? Why wouldn't they say that when that's what it was? Because Deontay Wilder, jackass, didn't say that. He sat there and said, "Oh man, I know that he hit me in the head with an egg weight because that's why I got a dent in the face, the head shape with egg weight, and all this shit about how the Bible says you have to pay with your house and all this other crazy shit and heavy costume." He said everything other than I had a bad night. And do you realize if he would have said that, even if people would have been like, "You full of shit, you just got your ass whooped," guess what? That conversation would have ended a long time ago. It's because of all the constant dragging this shit out with these other boxing channels and him himself making up all these goddamn excuses. Let's go.
Was cheating with something in his gloves. It was a bad night because the suit was too heavy.
So now all of that together, would you consider all of that good things or bad things?
They're just things. They're things that they're just things that he offered as a reason why that happened, and not just a bad night at the office.
Listen to what I'm saying. The thing that happened with Mark, is that considered bad or good?
But is it true?
Is telling the truth about what happened with Mark and Mark.
This guy
that's considered
is a
bad
minion.
thing.
If it's true,
Can I finish? To the world, that's considered a bad thing. The whole thing. Let me finish.
That would be a terrible thing.
I'm letting you talk. You got okay, right? Deontay got beat up by Tyson Fury to the world, so that was a bad thing, right? Yes, to his fans, that's a bad thing.
Of course, yes. If you want him to win and he loses, that's a bad thing.
So in general, it was a bad night for Deontay Wilder. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
That's an escape
most people ain't
to
saying
actually
that.
pinpoint the facts.
And I said something to you, and I said, well, no one said that. Your point is you're saying, yeah, no one said it because Deontay didn't say it. I'm telling you how I feel about it. That was a bad night in the office for Deontay Wilder, and we're making all the wrongs right from that bad night. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so with all the wrongs being righted, does he need more than the right hand to right?
And if Fury cheated, why would he have to change anything?
He brings to the table. Since, like you say, nobody's talking about anything else. No one's talking about anything but the right hand. Talk to me about what else Deontay Wilder brings to the table to get this victory on July 24th.
Speed, counter punching, focus, long range, surgical traps. What else? Discipline, receptiveness, like everything.
Everything he never showed
everything
before.
That we're doing in preparation, he brings to the table. And to counterpart on what people say, they're making it seem like everything he's doing is new when they seeing the training videos of it. They're saying that from a perception from the sideline. I've been watching Deontay do these
bullshit.
things for a while.
We're not saying this shit from no perception of a fucking sideline. We're saying this from the perception of what the fuck he does and don't do in the ring. That's what we're saying this from. This is not about sitting from the fucking sideline. I don't give a fuck how much. Look, you can punch mitts, hit bags, skip rope, do all that shit, right? Guess what? When you get in the fucking ring and you're fighting somebody that's there to fight you back, okay, and that can fight, that shit doesn't win you the fight. Oh man, you see where he was hitting those mitts? And that's any fight, not just a Deontay, anybody. But look at what he's saying. So what are you saying? That we're watching him in the ring and we don't realize that he's been reduced to nothing but a right hand? We watch